I'm not against you for fasting. I'm just saying I don't want to fast because I don't want to have less muscle. I like having muscle.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, Greg. You don't have to fast. But I like to fast, and I also like building muscle and don't want to lose muscle. And I absolutely won't lose muscle doing prolonged fasting. And I absolutely can gain muscle living a fasting-focused lifestyle.
What are you on, a snake diet like Cole Robinson?
Yes, I am on a snake diet like Cole Robinson. Yo guys, Theo here, Uncommon Sense. So, today we'll be talking about Greg Doucette and fasting. Greg is a fitness YouTuber whose YouTube channel kind of exploded last year. He's over 1 million subscribers now. And he recently put out a video that's called Keep Hunger at Bay with Intermittent Fasting, Science Re-Explained. And so I watched this video, but to be honest, it wasn't all that much about fasting. It was more about managing hunger, calories in, calories out, weight loss in general, what you can expect doing some different things. But this reminded me that Greg has put out videos about fasting in the past, even more about prolonged fasting, that I did not agree with at all. And so I figured I'll just take this opportunity to react to what he said back then. And so, before I start, I want to say that I've been following Greg for quite some time. I found him way before his channel exploded, I think. I first saw him when he had like 30,000 subscribers. For the most part, I think he does give pretty good advice, like to the average person who's just looking to lose some weight or build some muscle. He gives lots of good advice for sure, and about bodybuilding and steroids, because he's IFBB Pro, he's obviously very knowledgeable. But he does talk about some things that when he really doesn't know what he's talking about, like with fasting. And as someone who is into some of the same things that Greg is, like building muscle, training, getting stronger, you know, going harder than last time in the gym, but also practices a lot of fasting, both intermittent and prolonged fasting. I've done up to 5-day fast many times. I think I'm a good person to react to this. So we're gonna go back to a video Greg put out about a year ago that's called David Lade's 72-hour fast, when he's basically reacting to this fitness influencer guy who did a fast and gives his takes on some things. So he starts off about just explaining that David Lade is doing this, and then he says this.
A 72-hour fast is not something you just want to take lightly.
I agree. You should, of course, if you have any kind of medical condition or you're on some kind of medication, you should check in with your doctor to see if it would be fine for you to do a prolonged fast. And maybe you should check in with your doctor anyways. Not that I've ever done that, but of course it shouldn't be taken lightly.
It's not healthy.
This is a very stupid statement though, because yeah, like I have other videos about fasting. I won't go into all the health benefits of fasting, but there's so many health benefits you can reap from doing prolonged fasting. It's just ridiculous to say that it's not healthy. It would not, the only time it's not healthy is if you're like actually starving, a person that barely has body fat. Yeah, then yes, like fasting, which would be starving at that point, would not be healthy. But there are so many blatant health benefits that you can reap from prolonged fasting. So saying that it's not healthy is just very stupid.
It's not a shortcut. You can't just not eat properly and say, oh, I'm just gonna do a 72-hour fast to make up for messing up for the last 2 weeks.
Of course it's a shortcut. Like now we're obviously talking about weight loss only, like there's many other reasons you would want to do prolonged fasting, but Greg is more into fitness than health, and so he tends to focus a lot on only the weight loss. But even when we do that, of course it's a shortcut. Like Greg and I agree that in order to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. When you're fasting, you're in a 100% caloric deficit, the biggest deficit you can be in. Obviously, it's a shortcut. You're losing weight faster than if you're on a 10 or 20% caloric deficit. It's just, yeah, obviously it's a shortcut. And then, of course, it shouldn't happen. Ideally, it shouldn't happen that way, that you like screw up your diet for 2 weeks and then feel like you have to do a three-day fast to make up for it. But you can do that. And you can also implement it periodically. Like me, I go on bulks for a bit and train hard, I eat, I gain a little bit of fat along with hopefully some muscle, and then I do some fasting and boom, I get rid of the weight very quickly. So, of course it's a shortcut.
Hey, some people are going to think, Oh, well, it's great because you don't lose any muscle in 72 hours. Are you guys insane? Of course you do.
No, not really. You don't really lose any muscle doing a 72-hour fast. And by that, I don't mean literally like you don't lose one single muscle fiber. Like, I mean, it's the amount is so minuscule that you won't lose muscle that you can notice. Like, I've done this fast up to 5 days many times. I've never been able to tell that I've lost any muscle, and not really strength either. Like, maybe temporary. But after eating for a day or two, it all comes back. And yeah, like, because your body is smart. Like, yes, during the fast you need some energy. Like, carbs are not essential. I'm not against carbs. I'm just saying they are not essential to survive or for bodily functions. But you need protein and fat. And so maybe Greg thinks that you can only get the protein from the muscle, but there's different tissue like skin that the body is smart, you know, that it will preferentially, as much as it can, take protein from those tissues. And you can by doing weight training during the fast, like not too hard, but just stimulating the muscle, you can send signals to your body to hold on to that muscle even more. So this is just stupid. Like, it's Greg talking from ignorance. He has never done the fasts. He has not really looked into it big time, and he's just assuming that this is going to happen. Like, yes, like, of course, you might lose, like I said, a minuscule amount of muscle, but nothing that you can notice as long as you have some body fat to eat from during the fast.
What are you on, a snake diet like Cole Robinson?
Yes, I am on a snake diet like Cole Robinson.
What are some of the negative side effects? You're gonna feel like poop. People are saying, oh, you have more energy. Have you ever tried not eating that long? I've made it to 30 hours without eating. It's a nightmare. Why would you want to put yourself through that? It makes no sense.
This is not true. You're not going to feel like poop unless you're a food addict, like Greg is. And like, yeah, he doesn't overeat on crap foods or anything, but he's used to eating throughout the whole day, 5 meals, I think he says he eats most of the time, and has never gone over 30 hours without eating. Then yes, like, you're so accustomed to it, like your ghrelin, hunger hormones, it's going to kill you. Yes, it's going to feel awful in that position. And like, if you've been living like this and you want to get into fasting, like, yes, expect to not feel great for some periods throughout the fast as you get accustomed to it, but it gets so much easier. Like, I finished a 48-hour fast just yesterday. I felt great during the whole fast. I didn't break it because I was so, like, starving. I was just feeling great, but obviously this was not the case when I started fasting, because I had also been used to eating throughout the whole day. And yeah, get more energy and stuff. Like, yeah, it's true. Like, if you go on a really long fast, you can lose some energy for a while, but there are periods during the fast when you're going to feel very focused and energetic, because adrenaline and noradrenaline, stress hormones go up and stuff, but not in a way that makes you feel stressed, really, just kind of energetic. And it makes sense too, right, that when you haven't eaten, like, think back to a caveman lifestyle for human beings. Like, it would be very, very bad for us if we didn't eat and we just lost all our energy and felt like shit immediately. Like, it makes sense that we want to get more focused and more energetic, like, to a certain extent. Like, of course, after a while, like, we were gonna get depleted and we're gonna have to lose energy, even though it would be better if we didn't. But yeah, you're not gonna feel like poop when you're into fasting. Like, yes, getting accustomed to fasting, yes, but know this too, like, your body gets used to your habits. So like ghrelin, the hunger hormone, it will spike throughout the day at those times when you usually eat. And so if you know this, because the spike, it's a spike, it's not something that will just, you'll keep being hungry. So knowing about this, it will make it easier to, like, oh shit, now I'm feeling really hungry. Yes, because I'm usually eating at this time, but if I wait for an hour or so, it'll pass. Yes, so yeah, you won't feel like poop when you're into fasting, but if you're like Greg, always eating all day, never even gone 2 days without eating, yes, you're probably gonna have withdrawals from your food addiction.
Oh, but it releases the growth hormones and it'll prevent catabolism, and it's so great. It doesn't matter if your body's releasing these hormones, it's to try to prevent you from shrinking into nothingness. It doesn't prevent it completely, it slows it down. So, I'm gonna stop eating for 72 hours to lose less muscle. How about you lose zero muscle?
Okay, so a few different points to respond to there. Like, yes, growth hormone will drastically increase during a prolonged fast, and yes, this is probably one of the factors that makes it muscle sparing, but he's framing this whole thing like as if you're definitely going to lose muscle doing a prolonged fast, and cutting his way on a daily deficit, eating multiple meals throughout the day, you will lose zero muscle. And this is just not the case. I don't know, maybe it's different if you're on exogenous hormone support like Greg, like taking testosterone, doing testosterone replacement therapy. And by the way, I don't judge him, and I don't mind him doing that at all, but it's the case that he does this. Maybe it's easier with exogenous hormone support to hold on to muscle, cutting on a daily deficit. But for us naturals, we can, even if we keep training and eating daily on a deficit, we can still lose muscle doing that. It's not no guarantee that it's a zero muscle just because you're eating every day. And again, I've done these 72-hour fasts multiple times, and I would say I've lost a zero muscle, not literally, but from what I can tell.
We're all looking for the quick fix, the magic pill. And the 3-day fast is not it. It is not it.
Yes, it is. Like, I'm not saying that you only should do this, this is the only way to lose weight or anything. And there isn't a lot of shortcuts doing body transformation. It's about being consistent, putting in the work, following the plan for a long time. But if we're talking about the quickest fix possible when it comes to weight loss, it's obviously fasting. A 100% calorie deficit. And now we're focusing a lot on the losing weight and the muscle because Greg is more of a fitness channel than a health channel, so to say. He focuses more on these things. But talk about like bodybuilders. They often get problems with insulin resistance. And being insulin resistant is awful for putting on muscle. Prolonged fasting is a very, very fast way to reverse that, to become more insulin sensitive again. And of course, not many bodybuilders do this, but I'll just shout out Vigorous Steve here. He's a bodybuilder that has been doing prolonged fasting even when taking all these performance enhancing drugs and so. So even if we like not only look at weight loss and the muscle, but still something that applies to bodybuilding, prolonged fasting could be a quick fix for problems that bodybuilders have too.
Your NEAT is going to go down. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So these people think it's raising your metabolism. It's not raising your metabolism if you're sitting there not burning off anything because you have no energy. There's no way you're going to burn as many calories not eating as if you're eating. You've lost the thermic effect of food, for example.
Yes, this is true. Your NEAT can go down during a fast, to be honest. I wouldn't want to say specifically how it happens because I've experienced both on 3-day fasts that I've been quite energetic throughout the whole fast and also experienced that I just kind of want to lie on the couch and chill. But Greg, like you're a bodybuilder that used to compete, you've shredded down to ridiculously low levels of body fat, and you know that going that low, working out gets much tougher, and you don't want to do it. Like your body's telling you, like, we don't want to spend energy doing this now. This is awful. Why are we doing this? But you still do it, right? Because you have that goal, going on the holding onto that muscle, maybe keep getting leaner and go on that contest stage and perform. And you know, this is an extreme scenario, like being a bodybuilder with supraphysiological amounts of muscle from like performance enhancing drugs, but having almost no body fat. Like, yes, your body is literally in a starvation mode. If you're just a normal person who's fasting, you might lose a little bit of energy, but this does not mean that you can't still go on a walk or like do light, moderate cardio or anything, or just like if there's chores you need to do around the house that you like normally wouldn't feel too bad about doing but now because your NEAT is down, your body's trying to shut you down a bit, it feels a little bit more like this would be nice to put up till later. Well, yeah, you can feel like that, but you can still choose to do these things. So yeah, NEAT can go down, you can feel a little bit less energetic, but this does not mean that you're just not burning any energy. And yes, like he mentioned, like you're going to be spending more, burning more, have a higher energy expenditure if you eat, because even digesting the food takes energy. Like yes, in total, but still, even if your total energy expenditure during a prolonged fast, like on the day, would be lower, like the deficit is still bigger. So let's not miss that. Because there's some people that really don't know anything about diet and losing weight. They think they eat too little to lose weight. And this is something me and Greg agree on, by the way. That's very dumb. Like, oh, I can't lose weight. I just don't eat enough. Bullshit.
What about your chance of injury? It goes up. Of course it goes up.
I don't know why he would say this, like what he bases this off, because he doesn't provide any argument. He just says, of course it does. But I would actually argue that it's the other way around, because fasting reduces inflammation in the body so much. And especially if you're someone like me who like trains hard and with heavy weights and you get achy joints every now and then, you'll notice doing a prolonged fast that your joints feel so much smoother and better. And so I wouldn't claim that, fasting is like performance enhancing or anything, but training in the fasted state, even though you might not always have the same strength, I would say there's less risk of specifically of injuring yourself because your joints are just super smooth.
You go to the gym, hopefully he's not trying any 1-rep maxes while not eating for 66 hours. Oh, it's hour 67, I better go hard at the gym. There's no way you're training harder than last time if you haven't eaten in 3 days.
You'd be surprised, Greg. Like, yeah, probably you're not training harder than last time when you haven't eaten for 3 days, but you really hold on to a lot. Like, surprisingly, to me even, how much strength you hold on to during a fast. I actually pulled a 200 kilo deadlift being 3 days fasted. And it wasn't even that hard. I know if I show the clipper that my form isn't great, but it's not my max, and I didn't try to PR or anything. But I just wanted to show that even having fasted for 3 days, it's not that you lose significant strength. What you do lose, though, you have a lot less stamina, but we're not like. I wouldn't want to try to train hard and fasted all the time. It's just that if I'm training on the fast, it's fine. And, I might do some training during a fast to try to preserve even more muscle. But you'd be surprised, Greg. Maybe not harder than last time, but you can still, if you want to, go pretty hard in a fasted state.
Don't try this at home. Don't try this at home. Isn't there a saying on commercials? Don't try this at home. This applies in this situation. So just because David Lade is a supermodel, just because he's super good looking and has a cool hair and he's sponsored by Gymshark, doesn't mean you should copy him.
I agree. It's not that you should do prolonged fasting just because David Lade does it. You should do it because it's awesome and has many great health benefits.
Before trying a 72-hour fast, ask your doctor if it makes sense.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning, ask your doctor before you do this.
Do a search on Google, more than one, and look for the pros and the cons, not just the pros.
Well, yeah, Greg, since it's apparent that you don't know much about fasting, you should probably take your own advice and do some Googling and look at the pros of fasting and see if the cons you are claiming the cons with fasting actually are true.
72-hour fasts are dangerous.
No, Greg, it's not. Like, again, of course, check in with your doctor before trying it, but for a normal, healthy human being that isn't already, ridiculously lean, it's not dangerous to go 3 days without eating. Like, it really says a lot about the times we're living in, that we're so spoiled with food, so addicted to food, many of us, that we think we've never gone a day even without eating, and we think it's dangerous. But the human body isn't as pathetic as you think. It's actually very, very capable that not only will a normal, healthy human being, not only will the fast not be dangerous for him, like the body has adapted to these kind of situations that we probably had to experience back in the day before we had this society, that not only is it not dangerous, but actually the body takes the chance to do a lot of positive catabolic activities in the body, like autophagy, for instance.
The only way I'm doing a 72-hour fast is if I get stranded on a deserted island and I can't find food until somebody comes and rescues me.
Yeah, Greg, like, these are things like maybe not being stranded on an island, but as I said, human beings have not been this spoiled with food all the time. So doesn't it make sense, even if you're just doing some logic here, doesn't it make sense that we can be fine without food for a few days, and maybe even that the body has adapted to that and can do some even positive things during that time? Okay, so that video was basically over there, so we're gonna watch some clips from a next one that's called Fasting, Pros and Cons, Autophagy, Muscle Sparing, question mark? Let's get into it.
Everyone keeps talking about how fasting is going to preserve muscle. It is not.
Again, I would argue that it is, but let's see what he says next before I respond.
Oh, well, studies show that you have increased growth hormones when you don't eat for, say, 18 hours, for example. Okay, here's the example. Let's assume that it does. Let's say it does. Great. More growth hormone's muscle sparing. Absolutely, you're all right. What you're not right about is it's going to preserve more muscle than eating protein. So here it is. The increase in growth hormone basically would be like me hiring in extra workers to come and build my house. So now I got a staff of 10 instead of 5. I haven't eaten any protein in 18 hours, so they're all sitting around on their asses waiting for some nails. They can't build a stinking house. They're sitting there waiting. I'd rather have one guy working on my house, but he has a hammer and nails, and he can work on the house, than 10 guys sitting on their ass because they have no building blocks. If you're not eating for 18 hours, what is building the muscle?
So Greg pulled a little bait and switch there, because we were talking about preserving muscle, preventing muscle loss. Like, obviously, yes, the growth hormone from the fasting won't build more muscle than eating protein, obviously. But I would still argue that prolonged fasting, at least for us naturals, will prevent muscle loss more than cutting on a daily deficit. And I see your point there that the body needs protein from somewhere, but again, the only source for the body to make up the missing protein is not the muscle during the fast. It can take it from other tissue, like skin. And the body is smart. It has adapted. It understands we need this muscle to survive. Like fasting, we need the muscle to go away and get more food. So, like, the body is preferentially going to take protein from other tissues, like, to the extent that it's possible.
I know the shit out of this stuff, okay? Just trust me, I know what it is. I know what autophagy is. Yes, fasting has its benefits. The autophagy, that does happen. They don't know exactly the amount of hours required. Is a 12-hour fast enough? 16? Basically, from my research, 18 hours seems to be long enough of a fast to be able to provide that benefit, okay?
So that's nice that Greg admits that there are some benefits to fasting. About the autophagy, he explained earlier in the clip what it is. Basically, the body eating itself, like removing old damaged cells and recycling them. But yeah, he says there that from what he can tell, that 18 hours is what's needed to provide that benefit. But like, we don't know too much about autophagy. We know that it occurs, but we don't know like how much of it we would need necessarily. And like, what does it mean? Does it kick in after 18 hours? Does the autophagy start, and does it turn up? Is 18? Have you gotten enough autophagy after 18 hours? Well, many of these things we don't know. And I've actually come across some information recently that suggests that to really reap the benefits of autophagy, that it really kicks in after like 2-3 days. And if you like do fasting for that purpose, you'd maybe want to go on a longer fast, like 5, 6, 7 days. To reap that benefit. But yeah, so I just think it was a little strange how he thought, like, you know, he's such a huge channel. I think he knows he'll get away with this explanation, basically.
Do I think you should fast for 5 days straight? No, you're gonna lose muscle for sure. It's stupid.
Okay, so we've been over this already. Like, no, you're not going to lose significant muscle on a 5-day fast. And if autophagy is what you're looking for, maybe you don't even care about that. And maybe you'd have to go like 5 days to truly reap the benefits of autophagy.
With autophagy, that's going to make you live longer. Fasting has benefits in terms of longer life. Those of you who are taking steroids and trying to get jacked are not really thinking, I want to live to be 100 years old. We're thinking, I want to get jacked and bench 500 pounds. That's literally what's happening.
That's a good point. Not everyone prioritizes longevity and health. Some will put performance above that, being the biggest bodybuilder they can or the strongest powerlifter they can, using exogenous hormones, performance-enhancing drugs. And you know, at the end of the day, that's the person's choice. It's perfectly fine. To be honest, not everything I do is geared towards health and longevity. The way I've also basically tried to become the strongest and biggest I can just naturally, so I don't go as extreme, I don't take any drugs, but it's still like training is good for health, but not necessarily trying to max out size and strength is not necessarily the most healthy option you'd offer there. So I totally see that point, but still, I am trying to do these things while being as healthy as possible. And, you know, wouldn't you, even if you're not going for being 100 years old and stuff and you want to be a bodybuilder or whatever, maybe you want to be as healthy as possible doing that. And for a bodybuilder and powerlifter, prolonged fasting could actually be very useful again for reversing insulin resistance, which happens a lot for these kinds of people. Also, this is a good point. Prolonged fasting actually preferentially will burn visceral fat, like so the fat around your organs that are associated with heart disease, many bad things, and cutting on a daily deficit will preferentially remove your subcutaneous fat, like just the other fat that's not around your organs and midsection, and this could be like bodybuilders do accumulate a lot of visceral fat, and so it could be very, very good for that bodybuilder to throw in a prolonged fast here and there. I'll shout out again Vigorous Steve, a bodybuilder coach who I know does these longer fasts, even with bodybuilders that are on performance-enhancing drugs. So again, you could try to optimize health while pursuing these maybe not so healthy goals. And again, I'll say that even if you only cared about performance, you could, by reversing the insulin resistance, that would actually help you put on more muscle.
Now, 90% of my clients don't compete, but 90% of my clients still want to burn fat and build muscle and look good.
Me too, Greg. I want to build muscle, sometimes burn fat, and look good. Yes, absolutely. But I also want to feel good. And so I found a way. I wouldn't claim, I'm not trying to claim that fasting is the most optimal way that you have to fast to build muscle or anything. But it's absolutely that you can have it's not in conflict with this goal. It's just that, like I've done, I take 2 or 3 months where I don't do any prolonged fasts, and I focus on training hard and eating a little on a slight surplus, maybe trying to bulk up, get stronger and bigger, and then I take a period when I will do a 72-hour fast here and there, and so on. So it's not. I mean, you don't have to do it with your clients or anything, but listing these things as if they are in conflict with doing prolonged fasting, it's just not true. You can be into and want to do prolonged fasting and still want to build as much muscle as possible. It's just that when you're going for that muscle goal, you have to put the fasting on hold for a bit. That's it.
When you do hard, intense exercise, this also promotes autophagy.
Yes, very true. Fasting is not the only thing that will increase autophagy. Hard, intense exercise will do that as well. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't fast.
Another benefit of fasting. So people will say, I fast and I lost 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds. It worked. Yes, it worked. It didn't just work because you fast, it worked because you were in a calorie deficit. If your calorie level is needed to be here to maintain your weight, and say it's 200 pounds, and you fast and now you eat this many calories, your body weight goes down. That's how it works. You could have ate 10 times a day and had that many calories. It's calories in, calories out. No matter how you make that happen, you're going to get weight loss.
This is very true. Like, it is a little bit more complicated than calories in, calories out. Like, for instance, you could have some kind of micronutrient deficiency that slows down your metabolism, makes you burn less fat. So there are like factors that can affect it. But basically, let's put it like this. In order to lose weight, you need to spend more energy than you're putting into your body. And so you can make this happen many different ways. You could do prolonged fasting, not eating anything for several days in a row, or eating daily but in a caloric deficit, and you'd still lose weight. The only difference would be, well, first of all, I think you'd reap a lot of nice health benefits from the fast. Also, you'd lose weight a lot quicker. But there's nothing magic about the fasting in regards to weight loss. Greg is right about that. Because some people seem to think that, oh, when you're fasting, calories don't even matter, like thinking of intermittent fasting now. As long as you shove all that food into a tight eating window, your body is just a fat-burning machine and you'll lose weight anyways. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. Even like your eating window, it could affect, like your metabolism is a bit faster at the start of the day, for instance, so you could eat a little bit more if you just ate in the morning, for instance. But at the end of the day, these are minor tweaks. Calories in, calories out, like generalized, it's true. Like you just, in order to lose weight, spend more energy than you're putting into your body. And there's many different ways of making that happen.
If you're fasting and you follow that 2-hour window, 6-hour, whatever, and it works for you, good, awesome. However, it's not ideal to build muscle. So stop arguing with me that fasting is better than my plan. It is not better. Mine isn't better either, but it is better at building muscle.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yes, if you are a person that only cares about building as much muscle as possible, as fast as possible, then yes, fasting wouldn't be the best way to go about it. But if you're just a normal person that's looking to reap some health benefits from fasting and want to build muscle, these things are not in conflict with each other. It's just that if you want to do the prolonged fasting, then you need to realize that you have to put the muscle gains on hold for a bit. You won't lose muscle, but I did try like fasting and gaining muscle at the same time by doing a weekly 48-hour fast. It was very difficult. Did not lose muscle. I did make some strength gains, but my muscle gains kind of stalled. So when you want to do prolonged fasting, you just put the muscle gains on hold for a bit. And when you want to gain some muscle, you put the prolonged fasting on hold for a bit. But doing intermittent fasting, you can absolutely gain muscle. We're just talking about like the tempo here. Like, because it's not only the total amount of calories and the amount of protein that matters when it comes to building muscle. Like eating multiple times throughout the day, you will spike protein synthesis more and increase, this is the point though. Like I've done a very successful intermittent fasting bulk, eating 3 meals in an 8-hour eating window. Every 5th day or so, if I had moved a little extra or something, I added a 4th meal. So maybe I ate in an 11-hour eating window or something. And this was very successful. I gained a lot of muscle for a natural during 3 months. And maybe if I ate 5 meals, the same amount of calories but spread out in 5 meals, maybe I would have gained just a little bit more. But now we're talking about like very, very minuscule difference you could make there. So yes, if we're comparing like someone doing some very extreme fasting routine with someone who's like eating 5 meals per day, then yes, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to gain eating 5 meals a day. But at the end of the day, you have to decide how important is like gaining every little like percent or like fraction of a percent to optimize muscle growth. Is that more important than reaping some health benefits? It's going to be up to you, but you can absolutely gain muscle doing intermittent fasting. You won't lose muscle from the prolonged fasting, but I'd suggest you take a break from that if you want to go for muscle gains.
Anyway, that's enough of this. Hopefully you like my rant on fasting. I'm not against you for fasting. I'm just saying I don't want to fast because I don't want to have less muscle. I like having muscle.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, Greg. You don't have to fast. But I like to fast, and I also like building muscle and don't want to lose muscle. And I absolutely won't lose muscle doing prolonged fasting. And I absolutely can gain muscle living a fasting-focused lifestyle. So, that's it for this video. I think it's a shame that Greg just has to talk about these things and spread misinformation about things he obviously doesn't know anything about, hasn't even tried for himself. Because, like I said at the start of the video, he does have a lot of good information for just the average person looking to lose some weight or gain some muscle, and also kind of dismantling some deception going on in the fitness industry. But about fasting, yeah, he should try it and he should read more about it. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, general self-improvement, all that kind of cool shit. Please leave a comment. What do you think about Greg Doucette? What do you think about fasting? Please let me know. Alright guys, I'll see you in another video. Peace.